So John Wick 3 is finally out in theaters, and by finally I mean about 2-3 weeks ago, because I am severely late to the party in giving my review on it, because, life happens, and I didn't get to see it till last week. I'm not one of these big YouTube reviewers that gets press passes and pre-screenings and shit like that, so I got to see it when I can, and I finally saw it last week, and short summary, I fucking loved it, man. I had such a great time watching this movie. I'm still kind of coming down from that testosterone rush, and it's been about a week since I've seen it. We had to sit a little close to the screen, about the second row, so it wasn't as far away as I wanted it to be, but once we settled in and started watching the movie, it really wasn't that bad. The sound and the action made up for it. It's kind of like you were immersed right into everything. It was crazy. And speaking of the sound, it was incredible. You felt all the gunshots in this movie. It was insane. There's actually a scene, no spoilers, but they're trying to kill these dudes, but they got body armor, so they go get these 12-gauge armor-piercing shotguns. And let me tell you, when they're blasting off those shotguns, you felt every bass hit. It was awesome. Something I want to apply to my films now with Foley and stuff like that. Just the hard-hitting bass and the hit factor and the vibrations of the chair. It was great. Keanu Reeves, man, he's fantastic as always. He's a man of a few words, but you really don't need him to say too much. His actions clearly speak for him. And Halle Berry was incredible. It was nice to see her finally shine in a role like this. She kicked some major ass alongside John Wick. She's not in the movie as much as I wanted, but she still makes her presence known, and it's a very great character. Another thing I liked about this movie is it continued to expand on world building. It's building up this universe, and it's actually getting really more intriguing. It kind of makes me wonder what else is out there, because I think this is the first time he's gone overseas to another part of the world, and they have all this shit going on over there too. And it's funny how in these movies, everyone seems to always know everyone else. Like, Wick will see somebody, Ernest, and he'll look back at him, John. It's like no matter how random these characters are, they all know each other. It's pretty cool. So, yeah, no, I liked the world building. So we've come a long way since just one guy in a small city getting revenge on his dog. It's getting vast, and I like it. The fight choreography was incredible as always. They keep finding ways to up the ante with the cleverness of the kills. It's kind of over the top and ridiculous, but it's fucking awesome at the same time. Dude, they brought a goddamn horse into the mix this time, and on top of some savage ass German shepherds. It's incredible, which that was a huge highlight for me, by the way. And it goes back to, the typical fighting and killing people with library books, for God's sakes. And there's a scene where they're throwing knives at each other. It's insane. It's insane. It's fucking wild, and I loved it. I do have a few complaints about this movie. One of them is it was kind of lacking a true villain. There's a couple secondary side villains, but they don't compare to the villains from the first two films. Those were solid villains throughout the film. This was just kind of like secondary players here and there, and you just didn't feel the major looming threats. And another thing is, kind of in the middle of the film, there's a certain character decision made by John Wick, and it was rendered kind of completely pointless just a short time later when he throws that agreement out the window. And some could make the argument that he did it to get out of the situation he was in, but still, he could have fought his way out of there, in my opinion. But and finally, the third act fight with the Oriental gang, kind of in this mirrored basement level of the Continental. It was cool. It was great. There was a lot of good stunts, a lot of good choreography, but I did find myself at times saying, okay, guys, come on, this is awesome, but let's try to wrap it up a little bit. It just kind of drug on a bit. And I think partly is because throughout the entire film, they have all of these big fight sequences. And at this point, this was dragging on so long, it just you're kind of winded at this point. Hey, man, I'm still trying to come down, dude. Let's wrap this shit up, But overall, none of these complaints, they don't ruin this movie for me or have any effect on me. I still love this movie. It was badass. I had such a good time watching this movie. I think this franchise is just getting better. Love the first one, love the second one, love this one. And I can't wait to see what they do with John Wick 4. So, yeah, I'm going to give John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum an 8 out of 10. Go see this movie. It's fucking awesome. We're out.
Be sure to follow the podcast on Twitter and Instagram @The Indie Rundown, and like our Facebook page, The Indie Rundown Podcast.